Good evening, everyone. This is Mayor Shave. It's Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. And I call the Aberdeen City Council meeting to order. Deputy City Clerk, will you take a roll call, please?
Ellis? Here. Francie?
Here.
Gaken? Catchman?
Here.
Lawrence?
Here.
Mackey? Morrison?
Here.
Bertini?
Here.
Ross?
Here.
Shaw?
Here.
Zedor?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
Shave?
Here.
Thank you.
I move we excuse council members Gaken and Mackey.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to excuse council members John Mackey and Dave Gaken. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Will you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I'll open up the podium for public comments. Anyone in the audience has any comments, come up to the podium, give us your name and what ward you live in or where you live, and we try to keep it to 3 minutes.
And if you're on Zoom, raise your hand.
Yeah, Terry Overman. I'm the quartermaster at the Aberdeen VFW, and I'm here about banners. Now, we had a program that we started in Cosmopolis. I don't know how many people have been to Cosy to see the banners. Hopefully somebody has. The deal was that we did the research. VFW bought the banners. I supplied them to Cosmopolis. Cosmopolis had the hardware and the personnel to put them up. We're getting too old, you can barely walk, and you don't have that many people up. So I figured, talking to Darren Rains in Kazi, he would like to, and I would like, and we would like to see extended 101, Cosmopolis through Aberdeen, all the way to the Logan banners of our Kill in Action from Grace Harbor, which there have been 360 men have given their lives from Grace Harbor. Freedom. And they've pretty much been forgotten about. And I think a banner with their name is an excellent way of honoring them. That's what the VFW does. We preserve veterans' history, honor veterans, have an honor guard, and that's what we do. So I'm here to see whether the city of Aberdeen would be interested in the banners, which I can get, in the style that you want, probably the same as Cosmopolis, if you've seen them. And whether you will put them on the appropriate poles. I have to work with somebody to see where they're gonna go. And it's up to you guys.
Okay,
We do have a banner program, don't we?
well, yeah, and it's a little bit reserved because we just have so many locations, and there's a little more to putting up a banner than just stapling it to a telephone pole. And so we do have some issues, but usually the Parks Department oversees that, and they're not here tonight, but we will certainly look into it. And if we can get your information, there you go. And we'll I would certainly like to do that, what you're asking.
I think the city would be very happy with it.
I will do everything I can to make this happen.
If I may, I was just through Causey today, and I think those banners over there are lovely. I'd love to see them continue through Aberdeen.
Then you probably want to go with the same style, I can do different styles, but I like the way those turned out.
Yeah, they are, they're very nice.
So, got the number, you guys want to go forward?
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Is it one banner per person who's given the life?
Yeah, well, Causey, because it's close quarters, both ways traffic, with two-sided banners. Through here, rather than going down one way, do a one-sided banner. Whether you want them to come back through town, this is maybe discussion when I sit down with somebody with the details of it. I can make it happen banner-wise.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'll make a point of looking into this first thing tomorrow. Okay.
Hi, I'm Nancy Taylor. I live in Hopium, but I own several properties in Aberdeen. And I have complained to Lisa, I've complained to John, and I have complained to Bill. And I'm just here because I want to complain to you guys now, because I don't think there's anything I can do about it. But I own a sixplex at 119 South Washington, and we try to take really good care of it. But there has been this house across the street at 118 South Washington that we call the Three Little Piggies. Now, this house has been, sorry, I'm nervous. This house has been vacant for like 20 years. And every year it's kind of gone down and down and down. And it's, the police have been there, it caught fire, the fire department had to put the fire out. And somebody listed it as their property about 3 months ago for sale, and then, oh darn, somebody didn't buy it. And last week, somebody now has put stuff out, they're gonna try to raise this house. So I found out that the city of Aberdeen doesn't have any money to tear down houses. And that's why I don't think I can do anything about it. It's too late. This guy has got a building permit. But I wanted to bring pictures, and I'll quit talking in a minute. So you can't believe how bad this house looks. And I'm just sick about it because I don't think it can be saved. And I think the only reason if they were allowed a permit was evidently, Lisa said the city has spent too much money tearing down houses. And I'm still really, really, really upset about it. Sorry, anyway, I had to complain to you guys. That house should not be raised, and it's a death trap. I'm surprised somebody hasn't got in there and really got hurt. Anyway, that's all, the only reason I'm here.
Thank you.
Nancy.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, maybe I can give you my card and we can connect, and then I can get some addresses from you and things like that. Would that be okay?
I talked to Lisa a couple times about this. I trust Lisa's telling me that I can't really do anything. I just think that the city needs to get more money to tear houses down. This house should have been torn down years ago. I have complained to Bill about it. And now they're letting them raise it. It's like astonishing.
So I named it the Three Little Pigs House. I named it that, I lived across the street in the I named it that because the big bad wolf at the top blow this house down. And if you go, I always thought if I just went up and just pushed it, it would fall down. I was very surprised to see that.
I was surprised to see them lifting it. It was like, how can they do that?
Well, they haven't started yet. They just have all this stuff.
Yeah. It's scary.
I think it's gonna fall over. I'm just surprised.
Yeah, why don't it just go like this?
Okay. Thank you. We got lots of notes. We're gonna look into it. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Public comments? Seeing none, I'll move on to the consent agenda.
Yes, tonight's consent agenda has the minutes from the August 9th meeting and our accounts payable and payroll. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I wanted to ask for specifically under the motion to approve the $5,000 for displays and things at the Aberdeen Museum. I specifically was a no vote on that, and I want that on the record, please.
So move
In the
we
minutes.
correct that.
Yeah, right now it says carried by voice vote, but I wanna, is it possible you can say seat or no or something?
Okay,
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine.
any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We don't have any presentations, so the mayor's report. Since the last meeting, first I do the radios, first thing in the morning. I met with Shannon Bell, who's the president of Grace Harbor College. Great meeting, she's a wonderful person. Gonna be a real benefit to the college and the citizens here and the students. And we just talked about everything in general of what the college could do, what the city could do, some of the things that we're working on, like the ball field, where Parks is gonna be working on it. What else wasn't there a couple other big things that I'm forgetting?
We talked about the property down below, the flooding, Swan Lake. We talked about different partnerships, paramedic program.
That's it.
Yep.
That was the biggie. I brought up that the college start a paramedic program again, and she was real favorable to that idea, so we'll see how that comes, but that was the biggie for me. Thanks. I had 4 different mini budget meetings with department heads. We still got a couple to go. And just kind of getting a feel what the different departments are proposing to budget. We had pension board meetings, CAP board meeting. At CAP board, I talked with CAP about installing some lockers, like down below somewhere there. I asked them, first of all, when you're gonna get that all cleaned up so them ugly fences are gone. And they're working on that. Right now, they're doing a lot of, they're right at the point where they're starting to do finish work down in the lobby area there. So the sheet rock's all up, all that kind of stuff. So they're moving forward with their project as fast as possible. But I asked them if, when they could get a chance, if they could put lockers down there so that that would have some benefit in eliminating the unhoused from packing all their stuff around in shopping carts all day long. I also asked them about partnering with the city to get a couple of Portland loos, restrooms down, outdoor restrooms, and showed them a location like we were thinking, like right there by Moore's on the corner there. It's a big, huge space. There could be a Portland loos located there. And they work real well for that type of situation because you can't hide in them. You do have privacy, but you can't hide in them. And they're designed so they're real easy to maintain and clean and so forth. So that's a big thing because those are expensive. So, but we're going to get together and meet with CAP about that again. What else? I toured the Packinin boat yard again. The owners of the boat yard are more than ever now interested with making some kind of agreement with the city to purchase that property. And originally, before there were, when we looked at it before, there were stipulations that they wanted us to meet if we bought it. We weren't going to do this and we weren't going to do that. Plus then the price tag was pretty high, but I think now they're really want something nice to happen to that property. And they don't have any stipulations. So we looked at it, and there's a lot of possibilities there. And there's some funding available where we could put towards it. And with our boat launch there, and as bad as it is, we could be remodeling the boat yard or the boat launch and have something real nice there. So it just depends on how things go into the future on that. Also, we had a second interview with a candidate for finance director. That went wonderful. The candidate is spectacular, and I think he's the one. So we'll see how that pans out when we get through all the official stuff we have to go through before he can actually be hired. We met about the Wainuchi Dam. We're discussing, and this is something I don't know how many of you are aware of, but the city of Aberdeen is, in all sense and purposes, the owner of the Wainuchi Dam. And well, we always have been. The city of Tacoma made agreements to purchase the dam, and they had an operations agreement with the city as well. But there was a lot of stuff that was never finalized because, quite frankly, nobody wants the dam. So it's a big deal. It's a very serious deal, and it could come up and really slap us in a few years. So we're diving into that full force to see which direction we can go in to keep the city safe from issues with that. So I just wanted to make the council aware that's a big issue coming up in the future.
Can we get some more information about that at some point?
Yes, and this is just a first notice to give you a shot in the arm about the Wainuchi Dam, and we're working on it. We're gonna have more meetings with legal. Tomorrow, I'm starting going through the old files on the Wainuchi Dam and try to find what I can about the contracts and so forth that we have. So we'll be working on it, and I'll keep the council informed. And lastly, I met with the Quinault Nation today, President Guy Capoman and the Quinault Nation Council about a levy alignment. And the Quinault Nation has played a big role in lots of infrastructure projects throughout the years here in the city of Aberdeen. And even though it's pretty early as far as any construction is gonna happen, we wanted to keep the Quinaults informed. They are a partner, and we want to be able to work with them, have everything laid out well ahead of time so there's no surprises. And that meeting went excellent today. It was real good. So, and that was my week so far. So I'll move on to council reports. Anyone on the council? Go ahead, Katie.
So we have a meeting that's scheduled for next Wednesday, which is the 30th, and I understand that there are not any pressing agenda items, so I wanted to see if council would consider canceling that meeting, and I move that we cancel it.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to cancel the extra council meeting this month. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. There will not be a council meeting next Wednesday. Thank you.
Yes. enjoy the evening off, because we are meeting the Wednesday after that.
Any other council reports?
I was also going to ask if we could get a presentation about the Young Street Bridge replacement in September timeframe. I know there's lots of interest from the council and public to hear
Okay,
what's been going on the last few months.
sure, we can do that.
Thank you.
Well, the reason the little birdie was flying around here was because there really hasn't been a lot to really, we've been looking into what some of the options are, but it's just real preliminary.
Yeah, I think we're still negotiating the contract with the engineer, so, at this point. Sorry, Deanne.
That's what I was gonna add, is that, if not at our next meeting, I would expect that they will be bringing forward a contract with the agency that responded to the RFP. And so we'll have more information about our expectations of them as we start looking at that stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was one, it's been on the agenda, but I've been moving it back through the projected agenda until they could get the contract in place.
Okay.
thank you. Any other council reports? Seeing none, I'll move on to staff reports. City Administrator.
Thank you. I'm just going to give a verbal. It's been a very, very busy week. The mayor reported on a lot of ways that we were attending meetings together. We've met with, like he said, the college president. And then we also had a levy meeting with the Quinault tribe, which I think we probably had 2 or 3 meetings alone in preparation for that particular meeting. It's very important that we recognize the importance of that partnership. So yeah, and then we also did a lot of things as far as like property goes, but I will say that as of yesterday, all of the directors have submitted their proposed budgets, so we are on schedule. That was the due date, and so those have been submitted to Tara. And then so the next thing is the mayor and I will be working on the messaging and the narratives that go into those. They've also provided those to us, so we're on schedule. And so at the next meeting that we have, we are going to, I was able to gather priorities and things like that. And we're going to talk a little bit further about your priorities and what the budget is looking like it's shaping to be. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'll form the agenda for that with the help of Mayor and Tara, and we'll get that to all of you.
So you know what that means? When we're on schedule? It means that we probably won't have to be doing budget the last week of the year, which is awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. Directors' reports. Are there any directors' reports? There's not a whole lot of directors here.
We have some online.
Online, anybody online have a report? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So I'll move on to the requests for council action. Finance Committee, Chair Paracini, do you have anything for tonight?
No, the finance committee did not meet tonight because we had nothing to go over.
Okay, thank you. Public Safety, Chair report from Councilmember Ross. Do you have anything tonight?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So our committee met this evening at 6 o'clock, and I've got a couple reports from the chiefs, from the City of Aberdeen Fire Department. We want to remind everybody about the wildfire danger. The Aberdeen Fire Department has seen an increase in calls for smaller wildfires within our area. We would like to remind citizens of the current burn ban and that the area is not immune to the threats of a potentially large wildfire. And we've seen that across our state, so please, please, please be careful. They do not burn. The department will be pushing out information to the public in the next few days, reminding them of the burn ban and dangers related to wildfires. This will also include information on what to do in case of a significant wildfire event that could impact our community. And staffing update for the fire department, firefighter paramedic Kylie Turnquist started today. And she comes to the Aberdeen Fire Department as a lateral hire from East Grace Harbor Fire. And this leaves the department with one vacancy that they will be looking at filling within the next couple of months. Moving on to the police department, we have a couple of items that fall under the personnel committee on the agenda tonight, so we'll hear about those later. The activity report for 2023 is 20,890 calls. This is down 12% from last year, but we're slowly closing the gap. We made our first arrest for possession of narcotics. On the second day, they were illegal again. Subject was known to the officers, arrested for a myriad of driving offenses and possession of methamphetamine. I don't want to say that word. I'm sorry I said that so poorly. In the personnel area for our police department, they have 2 active conditional for police officers with 1 vacancy remaining. And the police services officer, Cole Bradbury, has passed his field training and is now working solo. So I think it's important to note that both the fire department and the police department are almost completely filled up with personnel, which is wonderful. I think it's the first time since I've been on public safety that we've been this close to having a full staff, so. And finally, this evening, we discussed the fireworks policy. We had been tasked with discussing making some potential changes to our current fireworks policy. And Chief Green provided us with some information about other municipalities in our area and the different things that they do. And he also talked to a couple of them that have actually put bans in place. Bans are not effective. They just don't work. People are gonna put their fireworks off no matter what. And we discussed this pretty thoroughly a year ago. And we just don't feel we want to put the police department under this kind of pressure. So we've chosen not to bring anything forward. It's just too hard to enforce. They can't ticket anybody unless they actually see them lighting off the fireworks. A lot of them are illegal anyway. And Chief Green pointed out that the 4th of July is one of the busiest days that they have throughout the entire year. So adding this on top of that is it's just not really workable. So at this point, we're not going to do anything further. And I believe that's all for public safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, Chair report by Councilmember Shaw.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works tonight has a public hearing. I would move to open the public hearing on Bill 2313, an ordinance vacating a portion of Rogers Street within Block 10 of the plat of Northern Pacific Edition.
Second. Motion was made, seconded to open the public hearing on an ordinance vacating a portion of Rogers Street. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wishing to speak on the public hearing on this ordinance, come up to the podium, please.
Mayor, seeing no one who wishes to comment, I move to close the public hearing.
Second. Motion was made, seconded to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is closed.
Under reports, Public Works has a report from the committee and the Public Works Director recommending that the council authorize the surplus of equipment number SCWERGL2, which is a 1992 Z30 Genie lift and a hydraulic ditching bucket through GovDeals. I move we adopt this report.
Second. Motion was made, seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion?
I'll just say that I think we got our money's worth. I shared with the committee yesterday that a 1992 Genie lift is older than my son, who's now in his 3rd year of teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
So under ordinances and resolutions, Public Works has the second reading of Bill 2313, an ordinance vacating a portion of Rogers Street within Block 10 of the plat of Northern Pacific Edition. I move that we approve the second reading.
Second. Motion was made and seconded to approve the second reading. Any discussion? Under discussion?
Public Works has an amendment they want to offer.
Okay. Go ahead, Councilmember Shaw.
Public Works wants to offer an amendment to section 3.1, changing from 9,000 square feet to 3,600 square feet, the amount of property involved.
Second. Motion was made and seconded to amend the ordinance to from 9,000 square feet to 3,600 square feet. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. The ordinance is amended. There's a motion to approve the amended agenda. Is there any discussion on that? Under discussion?
First, I want to acknowledge and appreciate the change in the amendment to correct the square footage. That makes it much clearer, because before, by referencing the size of the actual property, not the part that's being vacated, it was unclear. It wasn't creating a clear picture of exactly what is going to be vacated. The reading of the ordinance that we have states that vacating of any city street or public area right away is to be based on 1/2 of the fair market value. I do note that apparently it's the practice that we have that it's not based on fair market value, it's based on assessed value. If we're going to do that, we probably should look at maybe putting in a provision in our ordinance that gives us an option and an opportunity that we could either do fair market value if it's above a certain dollar figure, would require an appraisal. Otherwise, we'll rely on assessed value or some percentage of assessed value. But I think it's also important to point out, ordinances like this typically require only a payment of 1/2 of the amount of the value, the supposed value of the right-of-way. Because usually if you're looking at vacating a street or an alley, you go down the center line and each neighbor on each side of it takes ownership of 1/2 of the street or alley. So they shouldn't be paying the full amount of the area vacated, or be paying for 1/2 of it. In this particular case, this property owner, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, this property owner is actually getting all of the right-of-way area that's being vacated. Not to get too technical and down in the weeds, actually the city is retaining an easement over some part of it. And you want to talk about being an appraiser, and this is a little more complicated, so I won't go into those weeds. But I think that I'm a little concerned that because this particular property owner is actually taking fee simple ownership of not just 1/2 of the vacated area, but all of it, that they're not paying adequate compensation to the city. However, it's in our ordinance that we'll only charge them 1/2. So I'm not going to vote against this, but I'm not going to vote for it. I do want to go on the record as abstaining when we vote on this. It's just, I think we need to look at this ordinance down the road, especially when we update our zoning ordinance, and look at some revisions that we might need to make.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Cedar sparked a remembrance, but it was so long ago, I don't remember the details. I do recall, though, that when the policy was created for purchasing and selling city property, we did talk about a dollar threshold for when things should be assessed. And And maybe it's worth revisiting that just to see if that's where it should be tightened up a bit.
Yeah, it may be in the ordinance, but I don't recall reading it in the ordinance. I didn't look at the entire ordinance, I only looked at a couple of paragraphs. So I may have missed that part of it.
So I have a question, based on what you said. Are we referring to the cost of, the vacation? Or are we referring to the taxes on this property from the approval date forward?
It's my understanding that the compensation that the property owner is going to pay the city to vacate this piece of property, that property owner that abuts it will then take ownership of, that the estimated compensation is based on the assessed value of the underlying land, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, $2.34 a square
Something
foot.
like that, yeah.
So they're getting 3,600 square feet times $2.34 a square foot divided by 2. There's only one half, they're only paying one half. And the ordinance says one half of the fair market value. In this case, it's one half of the assessed value of the land, because public land isn't assessed, so they're basing it off of the adjoining property owner's assessed value of their land. But I'm concerned that this is potentially a gift of public funds in that they're not paying full compensation, they're only paying one half compensation, even though our ordinance says one half. It'd be interesting to get a legal opinion on that.
But does that refer to the cost of getting it vacated?
No, that's the compensation the owner has to pay. I want to differentiate between cost and what the amount, $4,212, that's what the adjoining property owner has to pay the city to take ownership, to vacate that piece of property.
I'll work with Hillary to figure out, she's online right now, but this is one we can work through, because if we have to revisit the actual like ordinance or the code, we'll look at it, and Lisa as well. So I see them both online. And
Yeah, unless we tell the owner that we're not going to do it now, or unless we table this until we can decide to do otherwise. I mean, we're into the second reading, we've kind of structured this, and we've told the owner what he'd have to, I assume we've told the owner what he has to pay, and, I don't want to necessarily nix the deal, but.
For the future.
But just for the
what I was
future, we
thinking.
should look at these a little more, with a fine tooth comb a little more.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we're voting on the amended ordinance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries
And I abstain.
with one abstention. Okay. Now we're moving on to special committee items.
Yes, we have 2 special agenda items tonight, a couple of promotions to consider along with their updated job description. So I'll start with item number 1, and that's a request from personnel and the Human Resources Director recommending that the City Council adopt the job description and classifications for Executive Assistant to the Police Chief and promote Becky Ellis to the position. I move that we accept this request.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve this request. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, there's no one, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And second item is a request from personnel and the Human Resources Director recommending that the City Council adopt the job description and classifications of Parking Enforcement Officer 2 and promote George Welch to the position. I move that we accept this request.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to accept this request. Is there any discussion? Under discussion?
I've been on this council for less than a year now. It's been about 11 months. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I have had come up more often than not from citizens in the ward are parking related issues and parking enforcement related issues. And I can say, I've been keeping George Welch pretty damn busy this last year, and Chief Green, and we appreciate the help and input that both have given in dealing with problem vehicles and parking issues that residents have had, so.
Thank you for those comments. That's probably the biggest point in what we're proposing here is because George was hired to be the parking enforcement officer in the downtown core. And the job is expanded all over the city now, like you just pointed out. And so, and George has been here, what, 30 years?
Yeah, since 1997, so yeah, 26 years.
And I think this is like the first.
Yep.
So, yeah, he's done a great job. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any other public comments tonight? In the podium up a second time for if there's any public comments. Seeing none?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion was made, seconded to adjourn. If there's no objections, I will adjourn this meeting.
Wow. That's a quick meeting.
Don't get used to it.
Quit it. Let us have our moment.
It's coming, people.
Katie, are we going to meet on September 6th?
Yes.
Is that a budget workshop?
Yes.
New.
Then didn't you move that to September 20th?